I think we all know that the goal in Adobe Photoshop is to get the photo into the shop. We all know that. There are about, and I'm not exaggerating this, there are probably 10 to 12 different ways that I can achieve the goal of getting a photo into Photoshop. Let's look at those ways. Now, most of them we know. File Open has been around since the beginning of time. We all know how to open images. 20 years ago in Adobe Photoshop, if you wanted to open a photo, you went to File Open. That's the only way you could get a photo in. Now, that wasn't the end of the world, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is choices make us feel like we're controlling this program and the program's not controlling us. That gives us confidence. Confidence leads to creativity. Use the method to get the photo into the shop that's most efficient. Now, I've got a couple of them over here. Let's assume that you have access to the physical image and you have Photoshop open or you don't. It really doesn't matter. If I want to open this image in Adobe Photoshop, it is a PSD. Well, you know this, double click it, and it will be more than glad to open it up directly in Adobe Photoshop. If you have Photoshop open, it will put it directly into that application. But if you're like me and you have more than one version of Photoshop and you didn't have it open, it would always choose the more recent version to open it in. Now let's go ahead and click here and get rid of that one for the moment. Another way would be to open an image that is not a PSD. Now that's a JPEG. The default on a Mac for JPEGs is a preview program, an application. Now this is not a class on operating systems, but there is a way to say to your operating system, Mac or Windows, is that when I double click on a JPEG, open it in Photoshop. But I'm not sure I would always want to do that anyway. So my next step here is I've got a photo, I want it in Photoshop, I don't want to click File Open, right click it. When you right-click on an image, you'll get an Open With option on Mac or Windows, and you can see any program that you have available to open it in. So if I want to open it in Photoshop, I'll open it in Photoshop. And again, there we go. No big deal. Let me go ahead and close that one out. My favorite way, assuming I have access to the images, is to actually drag it in. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a JPEG or a Photoshop document or a TIFF or anything else. If we drag it into the window, it will open it in Photoshop. And like I said, that's probably my favorite way, assuming I have access to the image. Let me close that one out too. What about multiples? Well, I think you can figure this out. But if I select all three at the same time and double click, it will open this one and this one in Photoshop, but it will open this one in Preview. So if I want to do it that way, I would have to right click and then choose Photoshop. But if you've got them selected, why not just drag all three at the same time? And there you go. You got a bunch. Just go ahead and drag them in. Now let's go ahead and close these three. Now you're in Photoshop and you've got the application open. I think you know what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go to the word File on the pull-down menu and go down to Open. Open's been there, well, forever. And now you play Where's Waldo. Now this image right here, I can click it. It's a JPEG. That's fine. It will open it. But if I want to open more than one image, I need to find it. And if I hold down the Control key in Windows, the Command key on a Mac, and then click it, it allows me to select actually both of them. And I can click Open right there and open both. One more time, I will close these. Here's a trick. I am going to File Open. I'm in the Photoshop window right here, but nothing's open. Double click. It's just a quick way to get to File Open. One more thing. If we move one of these images over, again, by dragging it, we have it open. Okay, just one. Now, the last time we dragged all three, we did it at the same time. But now, what I want to do is I have another image, and I want it in a layer in the open document. So I pick it up here and drag it in and let go. And it will put it into a smart layer. I can resize it if I want to. Come over here. You can see that's a smart layer. If I double click, I now have it. Doesn't make too much sense for what we're doing, but you get the idea. If you want an image as a layer in another image, you open one first and then drag the other one in. We obviously have other ways that we can open images. For example, the organizational tool that comes with Photoshop is called Bridge. And we'll talk about how you open images in Bridge when we get to that chapter. But that's another way that we can do this. Well, there you go. We've explored a lot of different ways to put images into Photoshop. And to me, the bottom line is, what is the most efficient way to get the photo into the shop? And then use it.